The atmosphere in the Grand Hall was electric charged with anticipation and reverence. Thousands had gathered from around the world, priests and faithful alike, to witness a moment that would soon become historic. Pope Leo XIV, known for his deep respect for tradition, yet surprising openness, had taken the stage to address the assembly. The crowd hushed as a Spanish priest, visibly emotional and trembling, was invited forward. What happened next would send shockwaves through the Vatican and beyond. As the priest approached, he carried with him a piece of Marian artwork and a zucchetto, symbols of faith and devotion. The Pope received these gifts with a warm smile, blessing them with a gentle touch. Then, in a moment that defied centuries of Vatican protocol, the priest made a bold request. "Your Holiness, would you give me a hug?" The hall fell silent, the weight of the question hanging in the air. Protocol dictated distance, formality, and decorum. Yet Pope Leo XIV paused, looked out at the sea of faces, and then back at the priest. With a quiet but resolute voice, he said, "You're one for all, because after this, the others will want to. Do you agree, one for all?" Then, breaking the centuries-old barrier, the Pope opened his arms wide and embraced the priest. The crowd gasped, then erupted into applause and cheers. Cameras flashed, capturing the unprecedented moment that instantly went viral across social media and news outlets worldwide. The simple act, a hug, became a powerful symbol of a new era in the Church. It was a gesture of compassion, humility, and connection that transcended tradition and protocol. For many, it was a sign that Pope Leo XIV was a pontiff who led with heart as much as authority. The embrace sparked immediate debate. Traditionalists were stunned, some expressing concern over the breaking of sacred customs. Others hailed the moment as a breath of fresh air, a reminder that the Church's mission was ultimately about love and human connection. The priest, overwhelmed with emotion, later recounted how the hug had given him strength and hope amid the challenges of his ministry. For the faithful watching around the world, the moment was a beacon of warmth and humanity in a complex and often distant institution. As news of the hug spread, commentators and theologians weighed in. Some saw it as a deliberate act of pastoral care, a way for the Pope to bridge gaps and heal divisions. Others questioned what it meant for the future of Vatican protocol and the balance between tradition and modernity. Yet regardless of the debates, the hug remained a defining moment of Pope Leo XIV's pontificate, a reminder that even in the most formal settings, the power of genuine human connection could break through and inspire. The event was not just a fleeting gesture, but a statement of intent. Pope Leo XIV's willingness to embrace a priest publicly signaled a Church ready to engage with the world in new and unexpected ways, blending reverence with accessibility. As the crowd dispersed, many carried with them the memory of that embrace, a moment that would be recounted for years to come as a turning point in the life of the Church. The moment the embrace ended, the atmosphere in the hall remained charged with emotion. The crowd, still processing the unprecedented display of warmth, erupted into spontaneous applause. Many attendees reached for their phones, eager to capture and share the historic moment with the world. Social media platforms quickly filled with videos and images, sparking a global conversation about the significance of the Pope's gesture. Behind the scenes, Vatican officials scrambled to respond to the unexpected event. Some expressed concern about the break from centuries-old protocol, fearing it might set a precedent that could challenge the Church's traditional decorum. Others saw it as a necessary evolution, a sign that the Church was becoming more accessible and in touch with the needs of its people. The Spanish priest, still overwhelmed by the experience, later shared his reflections in an interview. He spoke of the hug as a source of profound encouragement, a moment that renewed his faith and strengthened his resolve to serve his community. He described the Pope's embrace as a tangible expression of God's love, breaking down barriers and reminding everyone that the Church is ultimately about human connection and compassion. The incident also sparked theological discussions among scholars and clergy. Some argued that the Pope's action was a powerful example of pastoral care, demonstrating humility and approachability in leadership. Others debated the implications for Vatican tradition, questioning how such gestures might influence the balance between reverence and relatability in the Church's public image. Meanwhile, the faithful around the world responded with a mixture of surprise and admiration. Many saw the hug as a hopeful sign that the Church was evolving to meet the spiritual and emotional needs of its members. For some, it was a reminder that even the highest authority in the Church could show vulnerability and warmth. The media coverage was extensive, with headlines highlighting the break from protocol and the emotional impact of the moment. Commentators praised the Pope's courage and authenticity, while others speculated about the potential long-term effects on Vatican customs. The story dominated religious and secular news outlets alike, becoming a defining moment of Pope Leo XIV's pontificate. As the days passed, the hug continued to inspire conversations about leadership, tradition, and the role of empathy in faith communities. It became a symbol of a church willing to embrace change while honoring its heritage. The Pope's gesture was seen as a bridge between the past and the future, inviting believers to reconsider what it means to lead with both authority and heart. In the weeks that followed, the Vatican began to explore ways to incorporate more personal and compassionate interactions into official events. Discussions were held about balancing respect for tradition with the need for genuine human connection. The Pope's hug had opened a door, challenging the Church to rethink how it engages with the faithful in a rapidly changing world. For many priests and lay people, the embrace was a source of renewed hope and inspiration. It reminded them that the Church is not just an institution, but a community bound by love and shared faith. The moment became a touchstone for those seeking a more inclusive and compassionate Church. As Pope Leo XIV continued his ministry, the hug remained a defining image of his leadership style. It symbolized a pontificate marked by openness, humility, and a deep commitment to the pastoral care of all people. The embrace was more than a gesture. It was a statement of the Church's evolving identity in the 21st century. The embrace between Pope Leo XIV and the Spanish priest on stage did more than break protocol. It ignited a wave of emotion and reflection that swept through the Catholic Church and far beyond. In the hours after the event, images and videos of the hug dominated headlines and social media feeds, with millions sharing their reactions to what many called the most Christ-like gesture of our generation. Commentators and believers alike recognized that this was not simply a breach of Vatican decorum, but a moment that embodied the very heart of Christian leadership: humility, compassion, and authentic connection. Within the Vatican, the response was immediate and intense. Some officials, long accustomed to the solemnity and distance of papal ceremonies, expressed concern about the precedent set by such a public display of affection. Yet even among the hierarchy, there was a growing sense that the Pope's action had tapped into a deep longing for fraternity and spiritual closeness, a longing that perhaps centuries of protocol had sometimes obscured. The Pope himself, in his remarks to the priests and seminarians gathered that day, made it clear that his gesture was intentional. He spoke of the importance of fraternity, spiritual life, and unity among priests, urging them to be exemplary and credible in their ministry, and to rediscover the joy and enthusiasm that comes from authentic friendship with Christ. As news spread, priests and laypeople around the world began to reflect on the meaning of the embrace. Many saw it as a powerful pastoral gesture, a sign that the Church was entering a new era of openness and servant leadership. The Pope's words, "No one here is alone," echoed far beyond the walls of the auditorium, resonating with those who felt isolated or discouraged in their own vocations. For countless viewers, the hug was a reminder that the Church's mission is ultimately about human connection, solidarity, and the courage to love without calculation. The Spanish priest who received the hug became a symbol of this new spirit. In interviews, he described the embrace as a moment of overwhelming grace, a tangible sign that God's love could break through even the most entrenched barriers. His story inspired many others to share their own experiences of vulnerability and hope, sparking a broader conversation about the need for greater compassion and understanding within the Church. The impact of the event was also felt in seminaries, parishes, and Catholic communities worldwide. Some priests began to incorporate more personal gestures of welcome and encouragement into their ministry, inspired by the Pope's example. Theologians and pastoral leaders debated the balance between tradition and modernity, asking whether the Church could remain faithful to its heritage while embracing new forms of pastoral care. The consensus among many was that Pope Leo XIV's embrace had shown that these two goals were not mutually exclusive, but could in fact enrich one another. Media coverage continued to highlight the emotional and spiritual significance of the moment. Videos of the hug were replayed on television and online, often accompanied by commentary about the changing face of Church leadership. Headlines described the event as the hug that shook the Vatican, and opinion pieces explored the implications for the future of papal protocol and Catholic identity. As the days passed, the Pope's gesture continued to inspire hope and reflection. In his subsequent addresses, Pope Leo XIV reiterated his commitment to leading with humility and love, encouraging priests to always count on God's grace and my closeness too, and reminding them that together we can truly be this voice in the world. The embrace became a touchstone for those seeking a more compassionate and authentic Church, a symbol of the possibility that love can indeed break through even the oldest and most rigid barriers. The embrace between Pope Leo XIV and the Spanish priest continued to reverberate throughout the Catholic world, sparking a profound reflection on the nature of leadership and the evolving identity of the Church. In the days following the event, the Pope's gesture was not merely seen as a break from tradition, but as a deliberate act of pastoral care, signaling a new chapter in the Church's approach to connection and compassion. Within the Vatican, discussions about the implications of the hug were both intense and thoughtful. Some officials expressed concern about the potential erosion of centuries-old protocols that had long defined the papal office. Yet many others recognized that the Pope's action had touched a deep spiritual chord, reminding the Church that its mission was ultimately about love, mercy, and human solidarity. The Pope himself addressed the significance of the moment in subsequent speeches, emphasizing that the embrace was a symbol of fraternity among priests and a call to renewed commitment to their sacred duties. He urged clergy to embody humility and openness, encouraging them to foster genuine relationships with their communities. His words resonated widely, inspiring many to reconsider the balance between reverence for tradition and the need for authentic human connection. Across the globe, priests and laypeople alike found new hope in the Pope's example. The hug became a symbol of encouragement for those facing challenges in their ministries, a reminder that vulnerability and compassion were strengths rather than weaknesses. Many recounted personal stories of isolation and struggle, finding solace in the knowledge that even the highest authority in the Church valued closeness and empathy. The media coverage of the event continued to grow, with commentators praising the Pope's courage and authenticity. The hug was described as a transformative moment, one that humanized the papacy and brought the Church closer to the people it served. Social media platforms buzzed with discussions about the meaning of leadership in the modern age, with many celebrating the Pope's willingness to break down barriers. In seminaries and theological institutions, the embrace sparked renewed interest in pastoral theology and the role of empathy in ministry. Educators incorporated the event into their curricula, using it as a case study to explore how tradition and innovation could coexist within the Church. Students debated the challenges and opportunities presented by the Pope's gesture, reflecting on how it might shape the future of Catholic leadership. The Pope's embrace also influenced the Church's approach to public events and ceremonies. Vatican officials began exploring ways to incorporate more personal interactions into official gatherings, seeking to balance respect for tradition with the desire for greater accessibility. This shift was seen as part of a broader movement toward a more inclusive and compassionate Church. Despite the overwhelmingly positive response, some critics remained wary. They cautioned that the breaking of protocol could lead to confusion or diminish the dignity of the papal office. These voices called for careful discernment to ensure that the Church's sacred traditions were preserved even as it adapted to contemporary needs. Pope Leo XIV responded to these concerns with humility, reiterating that his actions were motivated by love and a desire to serve the faithful more effectively. He emphasized that tradition and compassion were not mutually exclusive, but could enrich one another when approached with wisdom and grace. As the months passed, the embrace became a defining image of Pope Leo XIV's pontificate. It symbolized a Church willing to evolve while remaining rooted in its core values. The moment inspired countless individuals to embrace vulnerability and foster deeper connections within their own communities. The legacy of the hug extended beyond the immediate event, influencing discussions about leadership service and the role of the Church in a rapidly changing world. It challenged long-held assumptions and invited believers to imagine a Church that was both reverent and relational. In the end, the embrace between Pope Leo XIV and the Spanish priest was more than a simple gesture. It was a profound statement about the power of love to transcend tradition and transform institutions. It reminded the world that at the heart of the Church's mission lies a call to compassion, unity, and authentic human connection. This moment, captured in countless images and retold in stories around the globe, continues to inspire and challenge the faithful. It stands as a testament to the enduring relevance of empathy in leadership and the possibility of renewal within even the most ancient of traditions. As Pope Leo XIV's pontificate progresses, the embrace remains a beacon of hope and a symbol of a Church that seeks to lead with both authority and heart, inviting all to join in a journey of faith marked by love, humility, and openness. The embrace also sparked a renewed dialogue within the Church about the role of personal gestures in public ministry. Clergy and lay leaders debated how such moments of vulnerability could be integrated into the fabric of Church life without undermining the solemnity of its traditions. Workshops and conferences began to explore the theology of touch and presence, emphasizing the importance of physical expressions of care in a world often marked by isolation and division. In addition, the Pope's gesture encouraged a broader cultural shift within Catholic communities. Parishes reported increased participation in communal activities, with many members inspired to reach out to those who felt marginalized or disconnected. The hug became a metaphor for the Church's mission to embrace all people, regardless of their circumstances or backgrounds. The Vatican's communications team worked diligently to frame the event in a way that honored both the significance of the moment and the Church's rich heritage. Official statements highlighted the Pope's commitment to pastoral care and the importance of balancing tradition with compassion. These messages helped to ease tensions and foster a spirit of unity among the faithful. Internationally, the embrace was seen as a sign of the Church's willingness to engage with contemporary challenges in new and meaningful ways. Religious leaders from other faiths expressed admiration for the Pope's openness, viewing it as a step toward greater interfaith understanding and cooperation. The moment was cited in ecumenical dialogues as an example of humility and love transcending institutional boundaries. As the Church continued to reflect on the implications of the hug, it became clear that Pope Leo XIV's leadership was reshaping expectations of what it meant to be a spiritual leader in the modern world. His actions invited a reconsideration of authority, suggesting that true leadership is rooted not only in power, but in service, empathy, and genuine human connection. The embrace also had a profound impact on the Pope's personal ministry. He became known for his accessibility and warmth, often taking time to meet privately with individuals and groups who sought his counsel or support. This approach endeared him to many and helped to build bridges within a church often perceived as distant or hierarchical. In the broader context of his pontificate, the hug was emblematic of a vision that sought to renew the church from within, fostering a culture of openness and care that could respond effectively to the spiritual and social needs of the 21st century. It was a reminder that even the most ancient institutions must evolve to remain vibrant and relevant. The legacy of the embrace continues to influence the Church's path forward, inspiring ongoing efforts to balance reverence for tradition with the imperative to connect deeply with the lived experiences of the faithful. It challenges all members of the Church to embody the love and compassion that lie at the heart of the gospel message. In this way, the simple act of a hug on a stage in the Vatican has become a powerful symbol of hope, renewal, and the enduring power of human connection to transform even the most established of traditions. The embrace between Pope Leo XIV and the Spanish priest marked a turning point in the Church's approach to leadership and pastoral care. In the weeks and months that followed, the gesture continued to inspire clergy and laity alike, encouraging a culture of openness and compassion within the Church. The Pope's willingness to break centuries-old protocol was seen not as a rejection of tradition, but as a renewal of the Church's mission to embody Christ's love in tangible ways. Across the globe, priests reported feeling renewed energy and hope in their ministries, motivated by the example set by the Pope. Many began to incorporate more personal and empathetic interactions with their congregations, fostering deeper connections and a sense of community. The hug became a symbol of the Church's evolving identity, one that balances reverence for sacred traditions with the need for authentic human connection. The Vatican itself began to explore ways to integrate this spirit of compassion into its official functions. New guidelines encouraged more informal and heartfelt interactions during public events, while still respecting the dignity of the papal office. Workshops and training sessions were developed to help clergy cultivate pastoral sensitivity and emotional intelligence, recognizing that these qualities were essential for effective ministry in the modern world. The Pope's gesture also sparked theological reflection on the nature of authority and service within the Church. Scholars and leaders debated how the embrace exemplified a model of leadership rooted in humility and love, challenging hierarchical norms that had sometimes created distance between clergy and laity. This dialogue contributed to a broader understanding of the Church as a community of believers called to mutual support and care. Despite some initial concerns about breaking protocol, the overwhelming response was one of gratitude and inspiration. The hug was seen as a reminder that the Church's strength lies not only in its doctrines and rituals, but in its capacity to embody the gospel through acts of kindness and solidarity. As Pope Leo XIV's pontificate progressed, the embrace remained a defining moment, symbolizing a Church that is both ancient and alive, rooted in tradition, yet responsive to the needs of its people. It challenged all members of the Church to embrace vulnerability and to lead with both authority and heart. In conclusion, the simple act of a hug on a stage in the Vatican transcended its immediate context to become a powerful symbol of renewal and hope. It demonstrated that even the most established institutions can evolve through gestures of love and compassion, inspiring a new era of pastoral care and leadership. The legacy of this moment continues to influence the Church's path forward, encouraging a balance between reverence for tradition and the imperative to connect deeply with the lived experiences of the faithful. It stands as a testament to the enduring power of human connection to transform and revitalize faith communities around the world. This embrace, captured in countless images and retold in stories, will be remembered as a milestone in the history of the papacy, a moment when the heart of the Church was made visible to all.